Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's RISMedia's ACE Agent Webinar Series. We're excited to be here today. This is Verl Workman, and I'll be your moderator on today's call. I got to tell you, this is I think this is our first call of 2017, our first webinar, and I want to congratulate all of you for investing in your time to make 2017 your best year ever in real estate. I have to tell you that these webinars have been very, very rewarding, not only for me, but for my clients and guests who have joined these webinars over the past couple of years. And I just want to give a special thanks to RISMedia for all the effort they put into making these possible, and also to the sponsors like Homes.com today, who not only invest but also share great content and ideas that help us become successful in our business. So to the A team that puts these webinars on, I just want to say thank you on behalf of Workman Success Systems and let you know how much we appreciate all of your support. For those of you that are joining the webinar today, I want to encourage you to stay on until the very end of the call. At the end of the call, I'm going to give you a landing page ID. Each of our guests today have put together some really cool giveaways, and they're things that they use in their business that you'll hear about during their presentations, where you can simply go into the landing page, log in, and you'll be able to download those deliverables that our guests are presenting to you. So stay on to the end. I'm also going to ask you that if you have questions, type in your questions, and I'll do my best during the call as I read those questions to answer those questions on air. We have amazing guests today with a world of information that they're going to be sharing with us, and I promise to make this a phenomenal 2017 as we go through the webinar series. I first want to welcome Joe Sesso with Homes.com. Joe is a national speaker and regional director for Homes.com. He's not only a very knowledgeable individual, but a great guy who's focused on helping people not only have a great experience with Homes.com, but actually convert and create their investment into a profit center. Joe, we appreciate Homes.com being here as a sponsor of the webinar today. Do you mind taking just a couple minutes and giving us a snapshot of what Homes.com is up to and a couple of things that will make a difference in our businesses?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks, Verl, for having me on the program. Yeah, I'm definitely going to show you a couple things here. As a matter of fact, in what we're going to talk about in just in the next couple minutes is talking about how Homes.com can help you as a realtor, a broker, reach the right consumers at the right time. But before I do that, I want to share with the audience some really key statistics about Homes.com. First thing is what we focus on is that, and a lot of people don't realize, is we focus on the very bottom of the sales funnel. So you'll see that 90% of the people that visit our site are actively searching for their next home. Now that might sound like no big deal, like, oh yeah, that's, why else? They're on Homes.com. But the thing is a lot of these other sites, they're talking about celebrity real estate, celebrity foreclosures. We focus on the very bottom of the sales funnel. And here's a key statistic for realtors. 75% of Homes.com buyers on our site, they're not yet committed to a realtor yet. So they're not working with a realtor. That's 3 out of every 4 people that are on our site looking to buy a home. And what's great about that is that creates huge lead capture opportunities for realtors on our site. What's even better is the fact that 62% of those buyers are planning to move in the next 6 months. So just to recap, we got 3/4 of the buyers on our site not yet committed to a realtor, 62% looking to buy in the next 6 months. That's pretty awesome. So let me share with you a couple really cool things that we're doing right now at Homes.com. The first thing is a lead concierge. And if you've ever bought zip codes from Homes.com or Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com, you know what it's like to be in a competitive situation where you're competing with 2 or 3 different agents for the same lead. And you know how critical speed is. And a lot of times agents think, if I call back somebody in the first half hour, that's fast. I got news for you. It's not. You have to call people back within the first 5 minutes, and preferably the first 1 minute, because I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but leads contacted within the first 5 minutes are 100 times more likely to convert. So that's why it's critical. But the problem is, let's face it, life happens. You're showing properties to clients. You're getting your kids ready for school. You're standing in line at Starbucks, and a lead comes in via your email, and you think to yourself, well, should I call them back right now, or can I just wait for 5 or 10 minutes to get the stuff done? And that's what lead concierge is all about. Do all the work for you. Because we actually have people waiting by the phone for calls to come in and for your email leads to come in. And the minute they do, we pick it up, we pick up the phone, and we call your leads, and better yet, we qualify them for you. So now when you get the call that comes in, you don't have to worry about asking them, are you working with a realtor? Are you looking to buy versus rent? We do all that legwork for you. So when we do qualify a buyer for you, we then call you. So when you see our number coming in, you know that's a warm lead on the other line. And we give you a warm handoff, and now you know that that's a lead, that's a call that's worth stepping out of line at Starbucks for, or stepping aside for a minute to take that call. So we qualify the leads for you. We get rid of the leads that are no good, and we're taking our time to qualify those. So when the calls come in, they've already qualified as far as that they're not working with a realtor, that they are looking to buy, and they're looking in a certain price range. And the best part about it is this service doesn't just work with Homes.com leads, it also works with Zillow leads, Trulia leads, Realtor.com leads, and any other lead source. Because not only do we have somebody working for you as your personal assistant, we also give you a dedicated local phone number that you can put on all of your marketing materials, such as your yard signs and any materials you send out to your farm or you leave for open houses or any other type of marketing that you do. And then if you do buy a zip code with us and you are a lead concierge customer, you're going to be noted as a rapid responder on every listing you show up on. So what that means is that they know that they're going to get a call back right away from you. So that kind of already gives you the inside track on their business. So you want to get that rapid responder moniker on your name. That's how you get it through Lead Concierge. And so it's a great service. We can definitely, you can learn more about that. You can contact us at homes.com. And then also we provide our own zip code service. It's called Local Connect, and it's a way for you to not only generate buyer leads off other people's listings, we're the only portal that also provides seller leads from the same service. So if somebody wants to inquire what their home is worth, they can go on, put their information in, and if that zip code is the same zip code you own, guess what? You're going to get that seller lead as well, and that's Local Connect. So it's a great opportunity to bundle lead generation plus Lead Concierge at homes.com. So yeah, Verl, that's what we're doing right now. Other than that, doesn't seem like much, right? But it's a huge thing. It's huge.
I keep telling RISMedia we ought to do a webinar with just homes.com, and let's really do a deep dive into the product and see what it looks like and let the agents ask questions about it. You know, you're a great partner, and we appreciate all the insight, and I encourage everybody to check out homes.com and see how it makes a difference in your business. So thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Verl.
So I want to first introduce our first guest is Mr. Cleve Gaddis. Cleve Gaddis of Gaddis Partners, RE/MAX Center in Atlanta, Georgia, is a top agent in Georgia. And for the last, I don't know how many years, he's been one of the top 10 teams in all of Georgia. He's a coach with Workman Success System, so he's one of my top coaches. Has over 25 years of experience in sales management, marketing, coaching, and training. He does a lot of events. He's an in-demand speaker and a great source. And he's also the host of the Call Cleve Atlanta Real Estate Show, which has been a great success. And I appreciate Cleve sharing his thought. You know, the topic this month is all about planning on the future and really creating a business and a lifestyle that you want. And Cleve is a true strategic thinker, and he's the guy that I go to when I have questions about my own business and want some strategic thought help. So Cleve, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being a guest on the call today.
My pleasure, Verl. Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. I think Joe is breaking up just a little bit. He's on a I think he's on the road, so he's calling in from not as secure as normal location.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure. I got cut off a couple times and had to dial back in, and I wanted to make sure that the audio was working okay. Well, the first thing I want to talk about, and this is something interesting I learned probably 25 years ago. I grew up in the direct sales business, as you know. Verl, I used to teach people to sell vacuum cleaners, actually teach them to sell vacuum cleaners door to door. And when I was running a branch office, I would go to these meetings, and there would be division managers and regional managers and all kinds of higher level managers. Now, remind you, they were still in the vacuum cleaner business, so they weren't too classy, but I knew they were a couple steps up the food chain from me. And I watched them. I watched the way they walked. I watched the way they talked. I watched the way they dressed. I watched the briefcases they carried. And I thought, well, maybe if I start acting like one of those guys or those gals, then maybe I can be one of those people. And I know it really sounds so basic and simple and almost immaterial, but they all carry these Hartman briefcases, Verl. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to get myself a Hartman briefcase. And for those of you who don't know, that was about a $400 or $500 briefcase, even back in the late 80s. And so I bought myself a Hartman briefcase that looked just like the briefcase of everybody else that I sort of wanted to be. And I know it sounds stupid, but what I started doing is I started thinking like I was a couple of steps up the ladder ahead of where I was. And the next time we got together for meetings, I felt like I was as good as the division managers and the regional managers and the area vice presidents, and I rubbed elbows with them, and I started a network of them, and I started to sort of be them. And it was only a couple of years, really very quickly, but a couple of months before I became a division manager, and then a couple of months after that, I became a regional manager and then an area vice president. So by the time I was 25 or 26 years old, I had the job, same job, of all of those people that I really, really admired in the first place. And how this applies to real estate is really very simple. If you sell 20 houses a year and you see an agent in your office or in your city and they're selling 100 houses a year, I can assure you that the agent who sells 100 looks at the world differently than the agent who sells 20. Now, I'm not saying to Verl that they work any harder, because the odds are the agent who sells 100 works less than the agent who sells 20 or 25, and I know that sounds hard to believe, but it's true. And so what you have to do is you have to learn to think like someone who is more successful than I am, than we are, than you are. And if you do the things they do, I'm telling you, the success that they have will follow, because all human beings are the same. We've all got the same flaws, the same insecurities, the same everything. And if we just emulate the behavior of people who are a couple steps up the ladder from us, it'll make all the difference in the world.
So I'm going to go get me a Hartman briefcase. Do they still sell them?
They do, baby. I got 3 or 4 of them at home. In fact, I can get you a used one.
You know, there's something to be said for having the swagger of success, and what you're talking about there is putting on the air of success and then going out and making it true.
That's exactly right. Somebody told me you got to fake it until you make it, and I was a master at faking it, baby, because I really didn't have half an idea of what I was supposed to do or when I was supposed to do it, but somehow it all worked out just fine.
So, Cleve, when you look at 2017 and you're looking ahead at what you want to accomplish, how many houses do you want to sell as a team? What do you expect your team to be able to do this year?
Oh, Verl, I don't know how you want me to answer that question, because you and I have talked about this so much. My original goal was to sell 240. But because 240 was not twice as many sales as we did this year, and you're my coach, you basically you browbeat me into admitting that my goal was 400. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't love that process, because, I'm just now getting my mind around what I need to do in order to grow the business 20%, and you want me to double the business. How am I supposed to do that? And, Verl, I have to tell you, it was the coolest thing. We had our second sales meeting of the year. We had one last Wednesday, one today, and you convinced me to use that 400 number for all of our planning that we're doing to strategize. How many listing appointments do we need to go on? How many buyers do we need to meet with? How many listing presentations? How many listing previews? How many buyer leads do we have to generate? And this morning when I sat down at the table, Verl, all those numbers were based on me having to do XYZ to get to 400. And I'm thinking, well, I have to do 4 listing presentations a week to get to 240, but I only have to do 6 or 6.5 in order to get to 400. And it was amazing. I'm sitting there having this huge mind shift. Now, I'm not saying, Verl, that I'm any closer today to 400 than I was yesterday, but I'll tell you, my mindset has changed. And now next week I'm thinking that I need to have 6 or 7 listing presentations, not just the 4 that would have gotten me to 240.
So I love that you've changed your goal and that you're actually thinking strategically of how you can make it happen. What's your belief system? Can you do it?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, I was forced into changing it.
Yeah, but you're the one that has to ultimately do the activities. Let's talk about those.
And what's happened is the answer, Verl, is yes. The more I think about those activities, the more I'm confident that we can absolutely do it. As you try to describe success in real estate, it really is a matter of the activities that need to be done in order to generate X results. Now, the issue is, Verl, I can't decide today that I'm going to have 4 sales or 6 sales in January and put the activities in place on today that will get me that number in January. But I can put activities in place today that will get results for me starting in March, April, and May. And so this spreadsheet is something that you gave me as part of our coaching program that I love. It's called the Agent Yearly Goals spreadsheet, and I sent a copy of it into you guys, and hopefully this is one of the things that we might be giving away as a free gift. But it's brilliant because what happens, Verl, is you take on the left-hand side of your screen and you enter the sales in your market area, in your listing service, whatever you consider to be your market area. You list the sales by month, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and 1 year ago. And then down at the bottom, Verl, you put in your minimum sales goal, which for me was 240. I put in my stretch goal, which was 320, and I put in my dream goal, which was 400. And then when I go to another sheet on that worksheet, it shows me exactly how many sales I need to close on a monthly basis in order to hit the goal. And then what we did, Verl, is we took those numbers and we backed up 2 months. Now, when I tell you that I have to go on 10 listing presentations in order to list 6 or 6.5 houses, you always tell me that I should list more. But in reality, I mean, I can't, if I go on 10 listing appointments, I can't find 8 or 9 of those people who actually like me. I don't, not all of them like me. I'm a little too much to take, or I'm not exactly what they're looking for. So I list about 65% of the appointments I go on. And so if I know I got to close 10 listings 3 months from now, then I can figure out how many listing appointments I need to go on this month. And then the graphing that you see, Verl, is great because every month we can look at where was our goal, where was our production, and the blue and the green are those 2 numbers, and then where are my stretch and where are my dream goals. Those are the black lines across the top. And it's really simple. How many new sellers do you need to meet with face-to-face? Good sellers, bad sellers, rich sellers, poor sellers, motivated sellers, unmotivated sellers. How many sellers do I need to meet with? And then how many buyers can I try to get with face-to-face and show them that I care about them and show them that I can help them toward their goal? And everybody tries to complicate the sales process. What do I say? I need a magic weapon. I need to discount. I need to charge more. Whatever it is, just meet with people and talk to them about their needs and how you can help them. And I'll tell you, your world will change.
Yeah, it's really cool. What's interesting about the spreadsheet you described to everybody is that when you put your MLS sales in for each of the months, when it gives you your numbers and it tells you what you have to do each month, it does it on a weighted average based on what's happening in your market. And so instead of taking your goal and dividing it by 12 months, it actually tells you the months you should be having bigger sales and lower sales. And 90 days prior to that, you're thinking strategically in advance on how to make that actually happen. And yes, this is one of the download giveaways. It's available at the end of the program.
Ooh.
So what are the systems that you're going to use to make that happen?
Well, I mean, we don't have time to talk about all the systems that we're going to use to make it happen, but I will tell you that in order to do business on a much larger level, those who are listening who are maybe doing, 5, 10, 15, 20 sales a year who say, I want to grow to 30, I want to go to 40, you have to have systems for pretty much doing everything. And we have systems for how we answer incoming phone calls, what we do with leads, how we categorize those leads, how often we follow up with them. Some leads get followed up in the first and third week, others get followed up in the second week, others get followed up in the fourth week. So you have to have a system for everything. But what I wanted to show you specifically, and if you'll go to the next slide, is sort of our system for what we do when we're meeting a new buyer face-to-face. Go ahead and pull up all 3 of those documents, if you will, Verl. And I know this first one on the left is hard to read, and I'm hoping that these can be something that the people can download as well, because it's really cool stuff. On the left is just a step-by-step process for our buyers agents. We use what's called the Sure Home Buying System, and it's something that we provide exclusively here in the Atlanta area. And the goals when you meet a buyer face-to-face are listed there on the left. Number 1, you care more about them and their wants and needs than any other person or agent they've met with. Number 2, buying a home is complicated. There's lots of form and paperwork and all kinds of stuff, but don't worry, we're going to handle that for you. Number 3, we want them to be sure about any decisions they make and be confident in moving forward with the process, and we have a process in place to help them with that. And then number 4, we have many connections because our family's been in business in Atlanta for 30 years, and we're more than happy to use those connections for our clients' benefit. So we have a process that every agent who meets with a new buyer face-to-face is trying to work through. Now, one of the ways that we help people understand the home buying process is complicated is we give them a very thick blue folder. Now, in our case, it has a RE/MAX logo on it. It doesn't make any difference what logo it has on it. And we've listed the contents that are on the left side of that folder in the pocket and the contents that are on the right side of that folder in the pocket. And everybody gets all, well, is it the right stuff? Is it the wrong stuff? Who cares? It's very heavy. And so we hand it to them. We say, this is the paperwork that's involved in buying the house, and we kind of hit the high spots. And really all we want them to think is, oh, my gosh, there is a lot of stuff involved in this. Thank goodness Cleve knows all about it, and he's going to help me with it. And then the last thing, Verl, to the right, and that's actually a 3- or 4-page document. You're only seeing the first page of it there. But that is our home finder wish list. That gives every single criteria almost that you can use in the Atlanta market to describe a house, and it has all of the questions that you go through to help somebody, to help yourself understand what a buyer is looking for. And we find that if our agents walk through that and spend a lot more time talking about the buyer's specific needs and criteria, that it's very easy for us to connect with them, and they very quickly feel like, hey, this person cares a lot more about me, my wants and my needs and my family than anybody else I've talked to. We love it. Systems for everything, Verl.
Yeah, I love that. You know, when you were talking about some of the systems, I love the buyer package and the the client's wish list, because it gets them thinking about what it is they want, and it's kind of a very soft sell. I love it. Let me ask you.
And one thing I thought was interesting, and I just got to interrupt here. We were at a meeting a couple weeks ago. One of the agents walked in. She says, hey, I handed a new buyer one of those folders, and the buyer says to me, oh, my gosh, this is heavy. Are you serious? All this stuff has to do with buying a house? And she's like, I thought that was really cool because that helped them understand that it was a complicated process. And I wanted to say, duh, that's the second step of the 4 steps we're trying to get you to do. Now, this is a lady who's been going on buyer presentations for a year and still didn't get that that was the purpose of that blue buyer folder.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you've thought it through. This isn't accidentally created, is it?
It took about 10 years to put together all the stuff in the Sure Home Buying System, and it's only because I took 9 3/4 years to think about it and 3 months to do it.
One of our guests asked if you'd be willing to share. You say you have systems for everything. How do you categorize leads for the follow-up process so that you get a better conversion?
We use, actually, Verl, I follow your system specifically. They're either categorized as an A, a B, or a C. Sometimes if you're using platforms to do the lead follow-up, you don't have those exact categories, but you can figure out how to make it work. A, somebody who needs to buy within the next 60 days and who you have an appointment with. B, somebody who is going to buy in that maybe 2 months to 3 or 4 months time frame. You're going to follow it with them twice a month. C, somebody who's going to buy in a time frame longer than 90 or 120 days. And then we're asking our agents to follow it with the B's first and third week, the C's in the 4th week of the month, and then the A's they should be following up with all of the time. In fact, if you don't have an appointment with them, you're not an A if you don't have an appointment.
Yeah, that's right. All 3 of these systems that Cleve shared with us are available in the downloads that I'll give you as we get towards the end of the webinar. Cleve, as you're thinking strategically about 2017, what is the biggest change that you believe you're going to have to make in your business in order to be able to really grow?
More leverage. I have to find people who are probably better at doing what I think I'm great at doing anyway to do the things that I spend most of my time doing. So as an example, I still love to go on listing appointments, and you browbeat me every time not really, you don't really browbeat me over anything, but you don't love it when I say it's my favorite thing to do. And I've got to, in order for me to get to where I can do enough of the different things that I need to do, I need to have people who help me do that. So it's really all about leverage. It's all about trying to find the right person to put in the right position, give them the right program, creating that right environment, creating a compensation program that allows them to be successful and me be successful, and then turn them loose and let them work. And I'm not saying that that's easy to do, hire one person and you're successful, because I might have to hire 2 or 3, because the first 1 or 2 might not work out, but I got to find those right people specifically on the listing side of the business.
You talk about creating opportunities and being in places and opening your mouth and saying the right things. What are some of the phrases or words or things that you would say that create interest?
If you're trying to generate seller interest and you're sending out just listed postcards or under contract postcards or just sold, the words you need to use are, how does your home compare? Very simple. Here's our new listing. Here's what it's listed for. How does your home compare? Question mark. And then either give them a phone number to call or give them a website to visit so they can register, so that you will explain to them very quickly how their home compares. It's amazing how that connects you with your seller prospects, because that's what they're interested in. That house is listed for $530,000, or that house is listed for $330,000. How does my home compare to it? So learn to put those words in your marketing, and it's something, Verl, that we've done for 3 or 4 years, but we've really never taken it up to the level that we're going to in 2017. And it's amazing. You send out a just listed postcard with those words on it and have a good landing page, your response rate will double. And most people who are listening are going, great, because my response rate right now is 0. So it will more than double.
So how important has tracking what works and what doesn't work been to you in your business?
It's huge. We actually, this is probably a little much to talk about, but we do class accounting. So we book our revenue by where it comes from and our expenses by the type of lead generation that we're doing. And we can very easily identify the money that we're spending that works and the money we're spending that does not work. And you got to do it. And I know if you're a sole practitioner working on your own, just getting 5 or 6 leads a week or something like that, it just doesn't seem to make sense to do all of that. But that is how a good business works. You got to track everything. You got to know your numbers, because if you know what your conversions are through the process, then you just fill the funnel with a certain amount of leads and a certain amount of sales pop out the bottom. We all got to know our odds. I'm sorry, Verl.
Well, I was just going to say that knowing your numbers, when you look at growing your business and you talk about, doubling, you can look strategically at your numbers and you can see what worked, what didn't work, and the things that worked really well that you got 600 or 700% return on, we double those efforts, and we just increase the mailings, or we increase the lead generation websites, or the things that generated the real results. And by doing that, we have the people and the process now to be able to grow at the level you want to. Go ahead and jump into the odds.
Well, and it's just interesting on that conversion stuff. If the numbers are not working out the way you want them to, then you make some minor changes along the way, like a mailing goes out in a different envelope, or has a different message, or a market report that you're sending out via email has a different subject line, or something's different. So you start to get sensitivity to everything, and you start doing things to improve the numbers all along the way. I talk to people every day, Verl, who they don't know who they need to be talking to about real estate. And the reason I wanted to have this pie chart with 20% sitting out there is within the next 2 to 4 years, 1 in 5 people you see every day. So if you're at Starbucks and there's 20 people there, 1 in 5 of those people is going to be making a significant change in their housing in the next 3 to 4 years. They might be investing in something, they might be moving, they might be renting, they might be leasing, who knows, but they're going to do something. And if we just start to understand that wherever we are, there is business everywhere, and all we've got to do is talk about someone's favorite subject. And Verl, I know you know what someone's favorite subject is.
It's Cleve.
For me, it's Cleve. For Verl, it's Verl. It's just the way it is. Now, for me, it's me and my wife and my kids, and you is your wife and your kids. But still, our favorite subject is ourselves. And if we just talk about them and their needs and what's going on in their lives, you'd be surprised at how many conversations you could strike up. Quick thing here, and this is something that you guys all can try. Ultimately, and I know we've got a gentleman from Homes.com on, and I'm going to put Homes.com in the same group as Zillow and Truly and Realtor.com, meaning I'm going to tell you that they're trying to get between us and our client. Now, I advertise and spend money with every single lead generation source up there, and they're all very, very good if used correctly. But I also want to be able to tell my sellers that I'm going to get a certain amount of people who would find their listing on Zillow or Truly or Homes.com to come directly to me. And the way we do it is really cool, and it's very simple. Before the house gets listed, just a couple of days, we take photos of the front of the house, and we use a file name format like it's listed right across the bottom of the screen. Street number, street name, the street, the city, the state, and the zip code, just separated by underscores, and that's it. That's the file name, so it's either that.pdf or that.whatever, that.jpeg. And then we're posting those pictures on Twitter Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and I'm totally drawing a blank of the last one right there. I should know what it is. But what is that one, Verl? Top right one. What is that one?
Not Twitter. Oh, it's Instagram.
Who cares?
You said it.
Instagram. Thank you. I did. Pinterest, Instagram.
Yeah,
Okay. And so then Verl, then we link those posts back to the listing on our website. And I'm telling you, if you try that, within 48 hours, if somebody types in the address of that property, your website will show up on the first page of Google. And if you don't believe me, just try it and see. We call that program Control the Conversation because we want to get the leads coming directly to us instead of them having a chance of being sold off somewhere else. Now, I do all of those websites that are on the screen there in terms of generating leads. Some of them work better in zip codes. Some of them got great programs, but we do them all. But I also want to have some good messaging for our clients.
That's really a great piece of advice, and it doesn't cost you anything to follow it. So you just gave people a system so they can get their properties to show up on Google. I'm absolutely going to implement that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and we do spend a little bit on Facebook, Verl. We boost those posts. We spend about, it depends, but we spend about $30 per listing, boosting that post to a specific demographic, certain age group within 25 miles of the listing, because in Atlanta, most people who buy in Atlanta already live here.
Very cool. Very cool. Talk to me about how you help other people think, forward think in their business. How are you making a difference in the people that you're coaching?
Well, Verl, it's interesting. I mean, having a third-party view of someone's business makes it so much easier for us to see. I'm going to call them flaws in the systems. They're not intentional flaws. It's just a lot of people set up a business and it's sort of doomed from the beginning because what they've done doesn't make any sense. The process or the compensation or their marketing budget or what they're saying when they make phone calls. And most of what I know that works today, Verl, and I've been in sales for, gosh, 30 years, and I've been in real estate for 16 years. Most of what I've learned about being effective at selling is because of all the stuff I've screwed up, not because of stuff I've done right. So, I mean, you try something, you say, oh, good gracious, you say, oh, good grief, I'm not going to try that again. And so eventually, I guess what happens, Verl, is I've done most of the things that they're trying to do that I know are not going to work out well, and I get to bring that experience to the table to say, hey, look, let's try it this way because I've already tried it that way, and here's what happened.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. You're not afraid of failing. Is that what you're saying?
You have to fail, and you have to fail a lot, and we will do things this year that will fail, but we will figure it out quickly. We will make some adjustments, try to get it back on track, and if we can't, we'll drop it and do something else.
That's awesome. Somebody asked if there's a system that does all that social media advertising and gets you on the top of Google. Is that a program that you subscribe to, or are you doing that individually? Let me bring that slide back up.
We do it ourselves. There are programs that will do that for you. Go back one slide, Verl. There are programs that will do that for you, but we do it ourselves. It's fairly simple. We actually have a person who does social media on our team. They also do running and things like that, and it's just a specific process they follow, but we do that in-house.
Would you mind doing kind of a step-by-step, here's how we do it, one sheet, and make that available to people that are asking?
I'd be happy to. I can't do it by the end of the webinar, but if anybody who registers to get the stuff, if you'll give me like a day, I'll put that together. In fact, I can probably get it from my operations manager, and we can shoot it over to you so they'd have it later tonight or tomorrow.
Perfect. I appreciate that, because there's a lot of interest in a lot of people asking questions, looking for a little bit more detail. Cleve, can you stay with us while we talk to Mark?
We can, but I got one more thing I got to say. Just one more,
okay.
And I'm so sorry. Go back one slide. So you see the little logo down in the lower left-hand corner, RISMedia's ACE Automated Content Engagement. Well, believe it or not, I actually signed up for that program, and I use it. And I got a post on my Facebook page from me, and it talked about how few people save money. And it said in a recent survey by Bankrate.com, it said 60% of the people surveyed didn't have $1,000 to pay for an unexpected emergency expense. but 47% of those people said they would tap their savings to pay those expenses. Now, it doesn't make any sense when you think about it, but the topic of the webinar is how do I sort of have more free time? How do I have more freedom myself? And I think the thing we all need to do, me included, is we need to save more money. Because if we had more money in the bank, and I'm not saying, you know, money that you would blow on this, or just money that you would have, so if you have something that doesn't work out the way you expect it to, it doesn't wind up being the end of the world. So that was my last tip. And sorry, I went over too long.
No, I appreciate that, and Mark will take it from your hide later. Mark Boyland, we're excited to have you here, and Cleve, we appreciate all your thoughts and insights. For those of you who don't know Mark Boyland, he's a associate broker with Keller Williams Realty. You're in the, where are you, Mark? What Mark? You're in the, I know you're in New York.
Yeah, I'm in Westchester County, New York, which is New York City suburbs.
And you've got a great business running right here. One of the things I love about Mark is Mark's one of the deep thinkers that in my sphere of influence that I go to when I need a problem really well thought out. Mark runs a great team. Mark, how was your how did you end your 2016?
Really good. It was our best year. We closed 122 sales for just slightly over 50 million in volume.
And that's awesome. And what does it look like? What is 2017 looking like for you? Where are you headed in 2017?
Well, I'm scared to say now that, you know, what you did to Cleve. I'm afraid I'm going to be, you know, on the hook for more. But we were looking at getting that up to 200 this year, and but now obviously we have to do 400 based on your previous conversation.
You have to do 240.
I'm sorry, 250. Yep.
240, 250. Okay.
You know, it's really interesting, Mark. One of the things, you know, this is a great call, and we invited you to be on this call for a specific purpose, and that is that you have a great business going. Are you working more hours today than you did when you were doing it by yourself? And if you're not, tell us a little bit about your team and why you're not.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not working as hard. I would say the first, you know, I've been in the business a little over 20 years, and I'd say the first 3 to 5 years, I was working, you know, 12-hour days, 7 days a week, you know, probably only taking major holidays off. And, you know, now, you know, I pretty much just work Monday through Friday. I generally have the weekends off. I'm usually at home by 5:30, 6 o'clock, the latest. So yeah, it's definitely a much more healthier schedule than what I was used to when I first started out. The team now, we have about a 15-person team. We have, you know, buyer specialists, about 5 or 6 buyer specialists on the team. We have our listing success manager, closing manager. We have a new team leader for the team who was promoted from the operations role. And we have a listing partner. I still go on listings, but I also have a listing partner, and we have also one virtual assistant that works for us as well.
It sounds like a great team with a lot of good people that have very clearly defined roles and responsibilities.
Absolutely, and it's a great group, and I'm really proud to have them, and it's taken a long time to really get there. So, you know, I know a lot of people start out, they hire an assistant, or, you know, sometimes they hire a buyer specialist first or whatever it is, and it doesn't work out, and, you know, they kind of say, well, you know, I'm not going to do that again, you know. And it takes time to learn how to hire people and learn how to train them and hold them accountable, and sometimes you do have to go through a few people that don't work out before you get a good one. So, you know, leverage is really very important, whether you leverage yourself through people or systems, and hopefully both. It's really the only way to grow your business. I don't care, you know, how good you are, how efficient you are. There's going to be a certain production level that you're going to top out at, and you're not going to be able to get beyond without doing some serious damage to yourself or your family or whatever. So it really is important to start leveraging yourself as early as you can afford it.
You know, and this isn't, I know this is off probably what you have prepared, but, you know, if you had to start over and go back to when you started your team, what would you have done differently if you were just starting that today? I mean, what would you, genuinely do differently?
I probably would have joined a team if they had them back then in my area. That would have been a good way to start out, because you can join something that's already in progress, get great mentoring, great training, get leads right off the bat, have somebody who's invested in your success. I think that's probably what I would do. And if not that, I would have leveraged getting an assistant much sooner than I did. And focus more on the things that I was good at and let others do the rest, instead of trying to do it all.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. We just want to do it all, and we have such a hard time letting it go.
Oh, absolutely. And the first time I had to, when I hired my first assistant and had to let it go, it was tough. I really was, because, Verl, I do it better than anybody else. You know that, right? I mean, nobody can do it as good as me. Yeah, nobody better, right? So that was hard, and I had to come to the realization that I got to let it go, and I also have to be prepared to let that person make mistakes and let them fail doing some of those tasks, and not jump in, with seagull management and start squawking every time something doesn't go right. You have to step back and let people discover on their own sometimes. So that can be one of the hardest transitions for an agent that's been doing things themselves for a long time.
And my last question, and I'll let you jump into your slides, is,
yeah.
Do you believe that at 240 transactions in 2017, you're going to have to work more hours than you did to hit 125 transactions in 2016?
I don't think so. I think we're at a point where we have such good people on the team, and we kind of have things laid out that we can leverage what we have, and maybe bring on another person or two, obviously, but it doesn't really require much more time on my part. It really is just really focusing on what works, getting the right people on the bus, and letting them do what they do best.
Yeah, that's a huge epiphany that you've had. So talk to me about this the magazine that you're sending out.
Yeah, so one of the things that you can do to kind of make your life a little easier, obviously you should be prospecting based and marketing enhanced, but when you start to do that marketing and branding in your marketplace, one of the great things that you can do to add value is do a market report. So sometimes I get stuff in the mail from other agents, and it's newsletters or recipes or just listed, just sold, but I don't find there's a lot of great content out there sometimes. So what we decided to do to brand ourselves in 4 towns that we work in up here is to create these very visual market reports. And we were originally going to do something that was more data-driven, more charts and graphs and numbers. And I had called up one of my clients who was in a fairly well-to-do neighborhood, and I said, what are you getting in the mail from other agents as far as market data goes? And she said, well, I get this one thing every so often from this one agent, but it's just a lot of numbers, it's black and white, and frankly, I get overwhelmed just looking at it, and I throw it in the garbage almost immediately. And I said, okay, so let's not go there. So we decided we were going to make something that was visually pleasing, that caught the eye, a lot of colors, really popped, so people would actually look at it and hold on to it a little bit longer than, say, the typical real estate piece. So we started with this market report, and I think you can click on it and open it to the next page. And so that was the front cover. Then we have sort of an intro letter with just kind of an overview of what's happening in the area written up. We had a section on, our international connections next, just to kind of show us that, in our market, it's good to have sort of a little international flair. And then we blocked out the key numbers in the marketplace, year over year, price per square foot, days on market, the volume, average square foot, and then we created a URL which links back to our Boomtown site at the bottom. So here you have Pound Ridge Home Living, that immediately pulls up listings in that town. You can click on the next one, Verl. And then we did a luxury housing report where we really went through all the listings that sold in the top 20% of the market, and looked at them photo by photo, hand by hand, and determined, which ones had the remodeled kitchens and which ones had the remodeled bathrooms, what had pools, what their square footage was, just to show, like, where luxury housing in our market was going, and then we used some national statistics to show where that town placed in those categories on a national basis. So just a lot of interesting content. It's not necessarily saying to the homeowner, hey, this is what your house is worth or anything like that, but it gives them a little sense of what's going on and where things are selling. And then in the end, of course, we put one of our featured listings that month, which also obviously makes our home sellers very happy to see their listing in there. And you can set this up where other people are doing the work. You can have a virtual assistant or assistant that's pulling the data. You can hire somebody to do the graphic design. You don't have to do all of this yourself. And frankly, if you are doing it yourself and you're not a graphic designer and you're not a stats person, it's not really the best use of your time, and it's probably not going to turn out really nice. So this is the one thing. We're doing the quarterly reports, so those are going out 4 times a year. We're getting a nice response on it, and keep in mind, it is going to take a couple of years before you really start to see a big return on these types of things. People just don't necessarily immediately jump when you do stuff. The second thing that we're doing is a newsletter. Goes out every month. This is
Mark, Hey Mark, before you jump into the newsletter, can I ask you just from a budget perspective, what are you budgeting for the quarterly report that you're sending out? And by the way, it is well done. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's on very it's on thick stock, so it has some weight to it. It's glossy paper. It's my team leader who knows the numbers on all these things, who's on the call, just came in and whispered the amount to me because she knows I don't even know. So it's about $12,000 per quarter, and that's going out to about 12,000 homes. So it is, it's about $1 a piece between printing and mailing. But that's going to 4 towns, and we do have a price point, so we're sending it out only to homes that are $500,000 in value or above. So we want to make sure that we're hitting a certain price segment. So that keeps our costs low, so we're not trying to send it out to everybody, and that means we're generally getting people of a certain price point and above, which is what we're looking for.
I'm going to put you on a spot here and ask you what your ROI is.
Well, the ROI is going to be a little light. This is our first, we started it last June, and, as I said, we're looking really for about the second year to really start seeing more response. But I've gotten $3 million in listing leads from the market report. So if that continues to grow, I think it's a good investment. It brands us. We also use it on our listing presentations. We also use it when we're soliciting, calling expireds or going on a listing appointment. We're trying to, show them that we have a presence in the market.
Interesting, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the newsletter that you see here, it's a 2-sided newsletter, also glossy. This is what we send out to our past clients on a monthly basis. We generally have a featured property in there. We do use the RISMedia content for the articles, so that's very helpful because we don't have to, recreate the wheel every single month. And that goes out in print form, and also we send it out in email form because we get about a 25 to 30% open rate on the online newsletter. So we do know there's about 70% of the folks that are not looking at it. So we also do the mailing, so they kind of get hit twice with it, just to make sure that we got regular coverage with our past clients and our sphere of influence.
I guarantee that you've got people that are looking at this going, I'm not a graphic designer. I don't have the layout skills. I don't have time to do this.
Right. So, and that's really what brings me to this slide. It's amazing. There was a time when I started in the business, to hire a graphic artist, you'd be paying, $100, $150 an hour, at least here in New York, and you'd have to go to one person, and you're kind of stuck with their design skills, if they got a good vision or not. And if you were going to hire an assistant, you're spending, $15, $20, $25 an hour or more. So the internet has really disrupted that whole model, and now there is so many opportunities out there for you to get high quality work done through virtual leverage, and really get a lot done without having to have someone in your office. So some of the sites I have up here, you have Upwork, which used to be elance.com, I think it was. Used to be Elance, now it's Upwork, there's Guru, there's Fiverr. These are sites where you can go and find people that actually do specific work that you need, be it administrative work, social media work, design work, you know, people that have accounting backgrounds that can pull numbers, do stats for you, whatever it may be, and the cost is very incremental. I mean, you can get some you know, virtual leverage for as little as, you know, $3 or $4 an hour to do a lot of administrative work, and you're not necessarily committed to, you know, having them for 40 hours a week. So the benefits are, you know, unlike hiring an assistant where you have to find a desk, pay them 40 hours a week, you know, worry about, you know, all the payroll expenses and time off and insurance and all these things. You know, these folks will do it, you know, $4 or $5 an hour. You hire them at will. You don't have to buy them any equipment. You don't have to worry about a lot of the things that you would have for a typical employee. So they're really great to have, and I highly recommend it. One of the other things that we do is we are workflow based. So if you want to save yourself a lot of time, you want to have systems and checklists, we use software that has workflows built into it, and it allows us to get a lot more done in a lot less time because the system is doing a lot of the work. So we have workflows for when we get a new listing. We have workflows when we get a new listing lead. We have workflows when we get an offer on a property. And all of these workflows allow us to, you know, keep the client updated, make sure that anybody that has a task associated with that client, the task is showing up in their system. They do it, they check it off, and then we get a full report that gets sent out to the seller every week, letting them know what happened. So if you really want to blow your customer service, you know, out of the water, and you want to save yourself a lot of time and minimize any mistakes that you're making, look into, you know, systems, workflow systems. There's a number of them out there. We happen to use RealVolve, but there are a number of products out there that can help you systematize your process. And this is a more complex one that you're looking at right here, and then, but you can have very simple ones too. You know, day 1, install the lockbox. Day 2, enter the listing. You know, day 3, thank you to the seller, and so forth and so on. So you can have very simple linear workflows. You know, one activity triggers another, or you can have very complex workflows where the tasks are branched off, meaning that at a certain point, for example, a question comes up, you know, does the seller want to sign? Yes or no? Well, the seller does want to sign. You hit yes, the task goes out to your sign runner who puts the sign out, or no, that task doesn't go out. Is this property a luxury property? If you hit yes, then the whole workflow opens up for all the tasks that you do for a luxury property. If not, then that doesn't happen. So it's very robust in the software world right now to have workflows manage your business.
So a lot of people are confused about what a workflow is. Some are asking now, is workflow an online service? Is workflow a product you buy?
Yep.
Let's define workflow. And some people might call them action plans. Some people might call them
So so basically, you know, action plans are probably the precursor to the workflow. You know, you had an online checklist. You know, you launch that plan for a new listing, and just like you see on the screen here, the first step comes up. You know, install the lockbox, or put the listing in MLS, or, you know, pull up the tax records and get the information. So workflows are really a more robust action plan. It allows a series of events to happen. In some cases, or in most cases, simultaneously. So if you want to backtrack to the slide before that, Verl, the workflow really, so for example, on our team, let's say we get a new listing, and we, as I said, we use RealVolve. You can look it up at realvolve.com, but there's a number of workflow programs out there. So the way we work it is, let's say we get a new listing, we launch the plan, we put that property into the system, we launch a new listing workflow, and all of a sudden all the tasks go out to the people on the team. There's certain tasks for our listing manager, there's certain tasks for our virtual assistant, there's certain tasks for our sign runner and field services person. So all those tasks go out and say, hey, you need to do this task, and you need to do it in a certain amount of time. When they click off on those tasks, then new tasks pop up, new emails go out. For example, when we launch a plan, a series of emails goes out to the client. We have a what to expect campaign, and every other day they get an email just telling them exactly what the process is going to be for listing their property, and then the team gets their tasks as well. So it's a very robust action plan. It's not linear. It can go in many different directions at the same time, so you can get more done, and you don't have one task on day 3 that hasn't been done holding up everything else, as you would in a typical action plan.
I love it, and I like the way that you've thought through everything that you run in your business runs on a workflow. So if it's a duplicatable task or something that you would do more than 2 or 3 times, you put it into a workflow, automate the process, and then the team executes.
Correct. And I always say, if you have to do something more than twice, create a system. You always want systems in place.
And real quick before you get into this slide, there's been a couple of questions on, you said RealVolve really fast. Just do a quick,
Sure.
What is RealVolve?
So RealVolve is a real estate specific CRM that has a very robust workflow platform. I would say that is their strongest feature, is their workflows. So you can create those workflows for listing plans, closing plans, buyers, sellers, really anything. It's very customizable. And also one of the benefits of the program is they have a library, so you can actually buy or download workflows from other agents around the country or even in your state or market that have already developed them, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can kind of take those plans, put them into your system, and then customize them specific to your the way you do business. And RealVolve is RealVolve.com.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
How do you even say this? Kanban flow?
Kanban.
Kanban.
Kanban. So the Kanban, which is a way to organize your day and save you time, originally developed, I believe, by Toyota to help them sort of streamline and have a better visual overview of the production line, and it's kind of made its way into the business world. So, you know, a lot of times we have agents that are, you know, writing out to-do lists or on scraps of paper, or they're kind of trying to keep a mental list of what they need to do in their head. And what this does is it provides a visual way where you can list your to-dos and then move them physically through Kanban Flow, which is an app on your phone or on the computer, move from a to-do to doing it today. Once you finish that task for the day, you can move it over to, or at least if it's in progress, you can move it in progress, and then done, which really provides a very great feeling when you can move something from due today or in progress to done, and it gives you momentum and kind of inspires you to keep going, and that list is with you wherever you go. It also has a built-in Pomodoro clock, and if you don't know what a Pomodoro is, it's the task management system where you block out what you do in 20-minute increments with a 5-minute break in between, and it's a very efficient way to focus on things one at a time and get them done, because the human brain can pretty much only work on, you know, one task, you know, and focus on one task for about 20 minutes before you start to lose a little bit of focus. So it's a great little tool that I use. It's free. It'll save you time, make you be more productive, and I highly recommend it.
What do you pay for a Kanban flow?
It's free. It's free.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
if you want to build it out for your whole team, then yeah, then there's a cost, and then you can actually have the ability to assign some of those tasks to another member of the team and keep an eye on what they're doing.
So Mark made available to us his market report that everybody can download, so you can look at that and see what it looks like and download that. Let me just take a couple of seconds and ask a couple of questions. People were asking about is it free, and you said yes. You said that the clock that's inside of Kanban Flow, what does that clock say that again?
It's a Pomodoro clock, and that's included with it. You can even get apps. There's Pomodoro apps, or they also call it Tomato app, because Pomodoro is Italian for tomato, I believe. It was invented by a gentleman by the name of Pomodoro, who figured out this whole productivity style.
Love it. I love it. So as you're coaching agents as one of our Workman Success coaches, Mark, what is the one piece of advice you consistently give everybody that's made the biggest impact?
I would say leveraging themselves has been huge. You know, we have one couple in Arizona. We were working with them. They're doing everything themselves, and they finally, after kind of talking to them about it for a while, they finally got an assistant, and it has absolutely changed their world. Their business is up dramatically. They're happier. They're having less stress. They have more time. And it's just, and now their assistant is holding them accountable to, making their calls and doing certain activities which are making them even more productive. So I would say definitely getting some leverage, is one of the big things that we talk about and train on and show them how to do it right.
I love that. There was a question for Cleve. Cleve, if you're still with us, if you don't mind me asking, somebody asked what you use for a CRM. Mark is using RealVolve. What do you use?
We use Top Producer.
And you also said you had Boomtown.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not a fair statement. We use Boomtown as sort of the CRM for the lead flow for the pipeline, and then once somebody becomes a client, we manage the action plans and then the relationship with the client after closing through Top Producer.
Yeah, I like to break it down into 3 areas: lead generation, lead incubation, and relationship management. And oftentimes we have multiple tools for lead generation and lead incubation. Homes.com is a great example, but when they become a real client, we want them for life, then we put them into our CRM. And it really, whether you're using RealVolve or Top Producer, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you put the workflows in place, you put the action plans in place, and you launch it and do it.
Right.
Both a lot of information. You guys have both given a lot of information to everybody, and there's a few questions that continue to flow in. What I'll do is I'll forward the questions to you. We'll send email responses to people that ask them. The download of the webinar will also be available at workmansuccess.com/January 2017. I want to encourage everybody to buckle up and get ready for a great series of webinars in 2017. We have great panelists, great guests. Mark and Cleve, you're both going to be in Salt Lake City next week for coach training. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Salt Lake and continuing to change the lives of others. If you'd like to have a personal business consult, you'd like someone to take a look at your business and see if there's an opportunity for us to help you, just make a note of that or punch that I want some help button when you go to the landing page. And thank you all for being here. On behalf of RISMedia's ACE, Automated Content Engagement, Homes.com, and our guests today, thank you for being here, and let's have an unbelievable 2017. Bye, everybody.